Hoy veremos.
Tenemos un sistema
We have a system that works with intensive farming of tilapia.
con una cría intensiva de tilapia.
We manage the RAS system,
Que es un sistema a
which
base
is a
de
basic system
recambio
of
de
water
agua en los
exchange in the
tanques.
tanks. In this farm, we are dedicated mainly to the production of tilapia. We are located in the municipality of San Roque, in the village La Bella, Finca Villa Lucia.
Tenemos un sistema
We have a system that works with an intensive farming of tilapia.
de tilapia. Manejamos el sistema RAS.
We manage the RAS system, which is the basic water exchange system in the tanks. At the moment, we have a production of 10,000 fish.
Peces. Ahora estamos
Normally, the farm produces around 22,000 fish.
22,000 peces. Hace poco
We recently emptied some tanks and dispatched some orders, so we have less quantity.
nuestro sistema funciona
Our system works in geomembrane tanks.
es un material plástico.
The geomembrane is a plastic material that serves to isolate the contact of the water with the contact of external agents, such as the earth and other factors that cause the water to be contaminated, producing bacteria that affects the crop. At the moment, we have 4 tanks.
Ellos son la geomembrana.
They are the geomembrane mounted on an iron structure.
Estos tanques tienen
These tanks are 10 meters in diameter
son aproximadamente 76 metros cuadrados.
and are approximately 76 square meters. What do they have inside?
Maneja un sistema.
Each tank manages an intensive fish farming system.
¿Qué es esto? Que
And what is that? Well, in a smaller space,
podemos crear
we can create a larger number of fish than in a normal pond.
normal. Las condiciones ideales
The ideal conditions to raise tilapia, according to the experiences we have had and the training we have received.
La tilapia tiene una buena
Tilapia has a good growth stage at a temperature of 28 degrees.
los 28 grados. En estos momentos nos encontramos
At the moment, we are on a farm that is around 24-26 degrees.
24 o 26 grados. Esto nos afecta un poco
This does not affect a little the tilapia's growth.
de lo que es el crecimiento de la tilapia. Donde normalmente estuviéramos
Where normally we would be at 28 degrees of water temperature, the tilapia would come out in approximately 6 months at an average 500 grams.
Promedio. Pero como estamos en
But as you are in this temperature range from 24 to 26,
nos tarda aproximadamente
it takes us approximately 7.5 months to 8 months.
a la hora de uno.
When setting up this type of tank,
Es muy importante tener bien claro
it is very important to be very clear about the temperature of the ambient water that the place where we're going to do it will have.
acá la ventaja es que no estamos.
The advantage here is that we are practically in an area that is totally free of polluting agents.
Entonces la calidad del agua limpia es buenísima.
The quality of the clean water is very good, which is also a factor that helps a lot and is scarce at the moment.
Aparte de la temperatura,
Apart from the temperature, we have to be clear that the water for the fish must have ideal points such as pH.
puntos ideales, como es el pH, el amoníaco,
Ammonia, nitrites, nitrates, These have to have specific values in the water because if they do not, it will then affect their growth.
El pH debe estar alrededor
The pH should be around 7. Approximately between 7 and 7.5 is ideal.
7, 7,5 es lo ideal. El amonio,
The idea is for ammonium to be at 0, the same for nitrites and nitrates.
el pH no lo altera.
The pH does not alter it. Basically, it is the sun due to the amount of algae that is in the tank and the contamination itself that it may have.
Que estemos virtiéndole al tanque. Si el agua que le virtemos
Also, another is the quality of the water that we are pouring into the tank. If the water that we pour with which we feed the tank is slightly acidic water from the tank, obviously we're going to see it affected. In breeding to control the pH, the amount of algae in the tank must also be controlled.
o el plancton más bien.
The algae is the one that turns the water a greenish tone.
Tono verdoso. El amoníaco lo controlamos
We control the ammonia that is produced by the feces of the fish that is controlled by means of water exchange.
se controla por medio de recambio de agua. Entonces, mientras más peces tengamos en el tanque,
The more fish we have in the tank, the more replacement we must carry out.
nitratos son una respuesta.
Nitrites and nitrates are a response to the amount of ammonia that is in the tank.
El amoníaco lo procesan.
Since the ammonia is processed by the bacteria that there are in the tank, they convert into nitrites and nitrates.
Nitrito y nitratos tienden a ser
These nitrites and nitrates tend to already be a kind of food for the plants.
nosotros utilizamos en los tanques,
That's why we use a kind of proto plant in the tanks,
que es muy buena para limpiar
which is very good for cleaning the waters of the tanks.
las aguas de los tanques. Y a su vez entregamos al río
And in turn we deliver the water back to the river in less dirty levels.
menos sucios. Utilizamos un sistema de aireación
We use a special aeration system with diffusers
instalados en la parte
that are installed in the lower part of the tank that
periódicamente a oxigenar
periodically help us
y mantener.
oxygenate the water and maintain an ideal level of aeration in the water.
Esto lo controlamos con un equipo especial.
We control this with special equipment that measures the dissolved oxygen in the water.
Por lo regular, los peces se deben
Usually the fish must be raised more or less between values of 4.5
a 7
to 7 or more or less in that range.
en ese rango. La aireación,
The aeration in this type of tanks must be very controlled.
por eso periódicamente eh,
For the reason periodically, once or twice a day, we take readings of the oxygen levels in the water,
en el agua, ya que si el oxígeno
because if the oxygen drops, the fish can die.
arranca la cría de peces, se compran los alevinos.
When the fish breeding starts, the juvenile fish are bought. What are juvenile fish? They are the fish when they are in the smallest stage of their growth. They are bought in bags of approximately 500 fish per bag.
500 alevinos por bolsa. Para el proceso de siembra,
For the harvesting process, the bags are installed inside the tanks
tanques, para que tengan,
so that they have contact with the water.
se dejan ahí aproximadamente
They are left there approximately half an hour so that both waters,
ambas aguas, tanto como la.
both the one in the bag and the one in the tank, have the same temperature.
Esto es para evitar que cuando los peces
This is to avoid that when the fish go out the tank, they will not suffer a thermal shock due to a change in temperature. When already half an hour has passed, the bags are opened and water begins to be added gradually from time to time,
cada cierto tiempo agua, para que
so that the change in the conditions of the water properties
de agua, de propiedades del agua,
make the fish suffer.
que los peces vayan a sufrir.
After gradually adding water, the fish are poured little by little in the tank, and so on until they are all harvested.
Queden todos sembrados. La alimentación,
The feeding is done depending on the growth stage of the fish.
dependiendo de la etapa de crecimiento del pez. Si están como alevinos,
If they are like juvenile fish, which is when the fish is acquired, which is the smallest stage of the breeding, they are fed 5 times a day.
5 veces al día. Lo ideal es
The idea is to reach 8. For reasons of cost, we drive 5 times. Why 5 or 8 and not 3?
8 y no 3. Bueno, Los alevinos en esa etapa pequeña,
The juvenile fish at this small stage, the cost of feeding is low, but the gain in growth is high.
entonces invertir en buena cantidad de alimentación.
Investing in a good amount of food when they are small is a gain in size and growth time of the fish.
Cuando están ya grandes,
When they are already large, they reach a weight approximately 150 to 200 grams.
se alimentan 3 veces al día.
They are fed 3 times a day. Why 3 times?
Ya el pez está muy grande,
Because the fish is already very big, and if they are given 5 or 8 times a day, they eat it. But the gain in weight and growth is not good.
no es buena. Como esto es cría intensiva,
As this is intensive breeding, the harvest must be carried out in the tank in its entirety. And what is this?
todos los peces del tanque
All fish in the tank are removed the same day and must be processed
y desviscerar.
and gutted and immediately frozen to preserve freshness.
Proceso de congelación para preservar su frescura. Comercialización de los peces
The commercialization of the fish is carried out in Medellin.
a un precio comercial a la tilapia,
A commercial price is given to the tilapia, different clients are called, and it is offered to them before harvesting.
obviamente.
Because by the day of harvesting, it must be previously sold. When we had the vision of this business,
Realizamos un diseño
we made a design of everything that was the infrastructure,
y se realizaron unos planos.
and some specific plans were made in 3D,
En estos
in which they were brought to reality.
momentos,
At the moment, we have adequate land for 16 tanks of 10 meters in diameter.
tanques de 10 metros de diámetro. Tenemos en estos momentos 4.
We currently have 4 tanks installed. The idea is that soon we can have a processing plant,
Vamos a tener una planta de procesamiento, un cuarto de congelación
a freezing room, and a greater number of tanks installed
instalados para estar entregándole
to be delivering approximately 2 to 3 tons per month to Medellin.
esto con el fin de hacer crecer el negocio.
This is in order to grow the business and grow the community in general, as this will create a lot of jobs for the region.
Empleos para la región.